We just had a very productive meeting with senior staff here at the high school to talk about the problems that have been had since the first day of school, but also more importantly, the solutions. And I think it's comforting to know that the staff has a plan that's in place to get everything under control, to get the very small fraction of students who have been a problem addressed. These aren't, we're not kicking kids out of school. We're talking about a tiered approach, a systemic approach to solving some of the behavioral problems that are coming as an impact of not being in school for a year. We've got a freshman and a sophomore class right now that have never been in the high school environment before. New Britain High School is very large. There's no doubt about that. And it is hard to matriculate back into a normal school setting when you've never been in that before and you're coming off of COVID. This situation is not unique to New Britain. There are other communities across the state that are having the same issue. But I think what's good to know, and what I think the message for today is that there is a plan that's in place. The school is going to be just fine. Our students will be back in tomorrow and Thursday for a half day. And the administration has a plan that's in place to make sure that students are provided the proper supports necessary in order to get back into the classroom setting and to learn, and to also not impact the learning environment of other students. So I just want to thank the superintendent. I want to thank the principal and the administration at New Britain High School for taking the time today to really thoughtfully put together what I think is going to result in an improvement in the learning environment here. And Meryl Gay, the president of the Board of Education.
So we just heard the plan, and I'm confident that we will see a change in behaviors, and that we can restore things so that students and staff have a safe environment here at the high school, and that we can get back to restoring the learning that so many kids lost over the last 18 months of the pandemic. This is a challenging time across the country. We have seen disruptions in schools all over the place. And we've also seen lots of adults in this society struggling coming back into post-pandemic, or trying to come back to normal after the impacts of the pandemic. We've seen a lot of conflict across the society, and so it's not surprising that we've seen exaggerated behaviors here at the school level, but we want to make it clear that those behaviors aren't tolerated or condoned, and that there are consequences for things. They're not the simple, oh, just throw them all out kind of consequences. They're much more nuanced, because we are responsible for educating all the children of the city. And even if we expel a student, we still have to educate them. What we want to do is to improve the behavior and make them able to function in society well, and learn as much as we can get into them while they're still here with us. So let me turn it over to the superintendent.
Can you spell your name for us?
Merrill, M-E-R-R-I-L-L, Gay, G-A-Y.
And your title?
I'm the president of the Board of Ed. I'm the
Thank you.
superintendent.
So thank you both, because you basically just stated everything we had discussed. I will say I'm really pleased to see the three of us standing here together. Meryl, you said it. I mean, our adults are struggling, our staff struggles, our students are struggling. I think, we can all, we have to remember to come together, to work together. And I think hopefully this is a good example of what we would like from our families too, right? We can't do the job without our parents actively involved with their children, or that mentor, or that one that cares most about that child. It's critically important that we work as a community. We can't just be a school in a district without having all of our partners. And I will say, the one thing New Britain has, we have the best partnerships and community partners that come in with our nonprofits that help with our students. So I was really pleased with today, pleased that we had open communication. Again, Mayor stated it, this isn't unique to New Britain. It's not. I think the one thing that we have is our honesty, sometimes brutally, right? And we don't always get along, but we say what it is, and we look for our community to rally and help us. And again, we will be having a town hall tonight for our families, especially in grades 6 through 12. We had planned this 2 weeks ago because we saw some of the upticks in behaviors, and we wanted to bring our families in early. But our buildings are safe. The behaviors are behaviors of students not knowing how to get along with each other. They're acting out behaviors, but it doesn't rise to the level of any police involvement, right? So I think that's it.
Is there anything that you can say just about some of those programs that may help maybe some of those students that may be having trouble with one another? I mean, with some of that conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you knew we invested heavily, thanks to the board. They approved this in our Student Assistance Center. We have a school counselor there with several behavior support assistants, all trained in conflict resolution. And in 14 days, we had 79 unique instances of students coming to to this Student Assistance Center. This is one example, right? We put this in place last year. We didn't have a lot of customers last year. We didn't really have a full house. But we do now, and let me tell you, they're earning their keep. So that's just one intervention that we work with. In addition, and I am grateful to the state and federal government for the dollars that we've received in American Recovery dollars in putting out-of-school time learning and programming in place for our high school students. Really proud to say we're putting in an esports center. That seems to be the highlight of this high school. It'll be up and running and ready for students who maybe aren't traditional athletes in the sense that we know it. But in the 21st century, esports programming is very big. It's very hot topic, and there's a lot of interest with our students around that. That's just one of the many initiatives that we are able to do because of recovery dollars.
I would also say that we are calling on our community partners to help with additional mental health and behavioral health supports for our students, and trying to make sure that we are getting at what some of the root causes of the acting out behavior are, so that we can help families and kids who are struggling with the issues from the pandemic.
Mayor, last night you said on Facebook you were disappointed by the decision. Obviously you sound different today. Was there something you were looking for or something you saw that has you sort of changing your feeling on this?
I think, like many parents, I mean, I'm not on the inside of the decisions that are being made here on a day-to-day basis. I was grateful to be educated myself as the steps that were being taken today, but I still don't think, schools should be closed for any reason such as this. However, I understand now that the staff needed the time to regroup and to come up with a plan on how to improve those behaviors, and that I think anybody could understand. And what I do know is that that time was spent wisely today to come up with the three-tiered approach of how to deal with, the 50 or so students that are the problem. Let's reiterate that. There's about 50 students out of 2,000 that have been this problem over the last 14 days. And, enough to bring the staff together to have to come up with some revised plan of action. And I think that's what's important. And sometimes you have to take the time to make those plans so that the rest of the school doesn't suffer, and the kids that are coming, they're coming here to learn, don't have to suffer because of the bad behaviors of a few. So while I didn't understand the decision at the time, it makes sense now, seeing the information that has come out and that will come forward, also came out from the principal of New Britain High School earlier today too, in a statement that was sent out to our parents and families. I think it is important. I know the TikTok thing is like the hot, trend right now. It's what everybody's talking about. This stems further than that. This isn't, we had an instance where 3 students were, caught, and there were consequences that were a part of those actions too. This is a larger topic, I think, that needs to be talked about. Again, reintegrating students back into the school setting when they haven't been here, and we've been learning online. Some of us not really learning online for the latter part of the last year and a half, and that's difficult. And it's the funding, the additional funding from the federal government that's hopefully going to be able to make an impact on really improving those behaviors, but time will tell. The most important piece is adapting to your new reality and coming up with a plan that we hope will work. The good news is that the behaviors that we're seeing, aside from the TikTok trend, they're not criminal. They're not rising to the point of where the police department needs to be here standing guard, per se, day in and day out. So that's good. There are school rules that are being broken, and we're finding the ways to address those through safe security measures.
Do one more question if anyone has any, or otherwise are you good?
Thank you, guys. Thanks very much.